Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back, everyone. This is something that many of us don't realize, or maybe we're aware of it, but we don't realize the importance of it in our lives and how it can make us feel better, how it can cut down the chemicals that you put into your body. Many times when we're looking for relief of symptoms, whatever it might be, we go to a doctor, we get medication, we take a pill, and things are okay. What about going to the root cause? What about considering something more natural, like an herbal remedy for what ails you? And I might add that, today's traditional medicine came from plants. And that's what we're talking about today. Herbal medicine, i.e. plants. Game changer for me once I realized how fantastic it was. Yes, I was aware of it, but not to the degree of how it can support so many different things. She's a naturopath. She's a doctor, certified body talk trainer and practitioner, certified nutritional counselor, and a master herbalist. And we're going to talk about herbs today with Dr. Jackie. Welcome back. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing so fantabulously well. Thank you so much. As a preface, let me share that when I studied to be a naturopath, I also studied nutrition, as well as being a certified herbalist, because I just believed that would be a part of my practice. But as things developed in my practice, it really became a lot for me to handle, especially when I became introduced to and studied the body talk system. So what I have learned through the process is I have a really supportive community of herbalists that really do this. But when a client comes to me asking me about certain herbs or the formulas or whatever, I can give them some general information regarding it, and then we can make a decision and go from there, including the results that take place as a result of the body talk session. Does that make sense?
It does, because it's you have like a 360 natural approach to helping somebody with all these different modalities. And on the herbal side of things, yeah, of course, I, like anybody else, knew that plant medicine, it works. It's, it's out there. It's something. It's another choice. It wasn't until I took some herbs mixed up by a master herbalist like yourself before we met that I realized what it does. I'll give you an example. It was a little over a year ago. I was having stomach issues, just feeling uncomfortable. Now, I had a diagnosed ulcer in 2016 or 17, just from stress. I already know. It came from stress, crazy schedules, etc. Well, a little over a year ago, stress again. And I knew it. I knew it was causing it, but I'm thinking, is that ulcer thing back again? And now it's to the point where I'll be honest with you, Dr. Jackie, I was at the point I was thinking about driving myself to the hospital, which I did the first time on my birthday when I got diagnosed with the ulcer. So I reach out to a master herbalist. I'm like, here's the deal. This is what I'm feeling. What can you offer? She mixes up marshmallow root, cat's claw, and catnip. I don't know what it is. Comes in a little bottle just like this. So I take it, and in 2 days, along with taking aloe vera juice with pulp, 2 days later, I was perfectly fine. Now, leading up to it, Nexium, popping this, popping that, Rolaids, nothing is really giving me relief. And it wasn't just reflux. It was just an uncomfortable feeling. And it turned out to be gastritis, little diverticulitis, very minor, but that was the game changer. And I didn't finish that bottle and have since passed it on to others because it
Okay.
made such a difference.
Okay.
How does this? How does it work? What's going on here? I had no idea. I'm take this stuff and hope for the best.
Well, as you said, herbs are plants. And the thing is that people sometimes they don't connect the dots that when we're eating a salad, those are plants. But what the person who helped you did was took different plants, knowing what they do, put together a formula based on the health challenge that you were experiencing. And know that all plants can be used in terms of ingesting, but not all plants are really aligned for dealing with or helping with health challenges. It really truly requires and is with the hope that the person will seek advice, recommendations, and even if they just go into a store and pick something off of the shelf because they're reading the labels, that they at least have some background of what's going on. And it doesn't mean that they have to be professional or they have to be a scholar, an herbal scholar, but just some basic information.
Mm-hmm.
The parts of the plant that is used for formulas are the roots, the leaves, the stems, and the flowers. And it's a matter of the person who's putting together either a single plant to address something or a formula to address something in terms of what they use to put together something for that person. Typically, herbs address symptoms, but many times they also address the cause based on what's going on. And when someone is developing a formula, it's with the idea that they are looking at the body systems. So if it's something with the stomach, we're talking about the digestive system. If it's with the lungs, it's respiratory, and then the nervous system, urinary or cardiovascular,
Sure.
and then they work it from that aspect rather than just the symptom itself. It's really looking at the system that is being affected by the physical challenge that the person is experiencing.
Would you say it's more plant medicine is more of getting to the root cause, no pun intended on the plant thing, whereby traditional medicine, we're just treating the symptoms?
Oh, man, Steve, you know, uh, yes and no, because there are instances where herbs are also looking at the symptoms and working with symptoms and not necessarily addressing the cause of why that person is having symptoms. So if a person is having, and I'm just using this as an example, not to say this is it, but if a person is having digestive challenges, it may mean, yes, they need certain formulas to help balance that out. But it also may mean that this person may need to look at what they're eating and eating things differently, as well as are there certain experiences, certain life experiences that they add the emotional component that will result in the distress that the person is experiencing. Now, let me share this part in terms of formulas, because when a person is putting, and this is someone who really knows what the heck they're doing. When a person is putting together a formula, they're not just grabbing herbs here, there, putting them together. There's really certain key parts of a formula. And the parts are the key herbs itself that is addressing the challenge that the person is experiencing. Also, supporting herbs that help to support that key herb. Balancing herbs that help to keep the formula balanced, and then herbs that are a catalyst to get it moving through the system and that it gets to working through the system. So the key herbs just focuses on the primary action, but a real formula should have those four components in terms of the key herbs, the supporting herbs, balancing herbs, and catalysts. And last time when we came together, we talked about essential oils and how they are plant-based. And when a person is putting together a formula using essential oils, they're using the same criteria because essential oils come from plants, plant-based,
Sure.
putting it all together.
Plants support us. You know what? I had a call it an epiphany recently where I realized that everything that is good for us, and mostly everything that supports us, comes from the ground. It's all about, we would be in such trouble if we didn't have the dirt, the earth. What do I mean by that? Well, certainly we're talking about plants and growing things, but let's say it's an animal that's grazing. What are they grazing on? Comes from the earth. All of that comes from the dirt, right to the dirt. And, we beat on our planet. We do some horrible things, don't even need to get into that because we all know what we're talking about there. Pesticides and such, but it all comes from the earth. And it's been that way since the beginning of time.
Yes. And the key piece with that, I'm so glad you mentioned and shared that, is that the reason why it comes from the earth is because the earth as a planet is alive. It's alive because it can support life, whether it's plant life, animal life, or us.
Yeah. Yeah. It's everything, literally everything.
Because if the planet was not alive, if it was not a form of life, it would not be able to support life.
I'm noticing that there's been a lot of focus put on some different herbals. Let's call it that. For example, turmeric. Hearing a lot about that lately. I've started taking it. Not going to hurt you. Don't overdo it. Like anything. Know anything about turmeric? What's the big deal?
From my understanding and recollection, because as I shared earlier, much of herbs I have asked others to handle, but from my recollection, turmeric is excellent when it comes to handling, balancing, and releasing inflammation.
I've heard the same. Yeah. And it's tied to, I guess loosely tied to, because of releasing the inflammation, cancer prevention. Because inflammation, many believe, is, cancer is an inflammation. That's what's going on there.
There's also, but with cancer, there's not just the physical, there's also the emotional part, the mental part that also is a contributor to the person having that type of health challenge. So it's doing what can be done to the best of our abilities to find a balance. And the balance for one is not necessarily the balance for someone else. It's really unique. It's almost like when we prepare a meal or foods or whatever, and or even if we're at a buffet, what you may choose from the buffet may be different from what I choose. And it doesn't mean that yours is right and mine is wrong, or mine is right and yours is wrong. It just means that it's very different and unique to what works best for us.
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
That being said, are there certain herbals that you like to take on a more regular basis? I don't know if I'm correct in calling them supplements, but is there anything on your radar that on a more regular basis you take?
And calling them supplements is ideal because they are designed to supplement our lifestyle. Whether it's supplementing the foods we eat, the water we drink, etc., the air we breathe, exercise, and so forth. Sure. And there are certain supplements that I consume on a regular basis. One, for example, is iodine with kelp. And that was recommended to me years and years and years ago because I was diagnosed with problems with my thyroid. And one of the suggestions, of course, the person that did the diagnosis was a medical doctor, because at that time I didn't know. I just went with what I knew. And so he did the test and discovered thyroid and said, you have to take this medication for the rest of your life. And I'm like, okay. And when I left, I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not taking this medication for the rest of my life. Let me do some research on this. And that's when I found out about iodine and kelp with helping with the thyroid. I also, and I do it in a liquid form because for me that works well. I also take on a daily basis a liquid form of echinacea, golden seal, because they help to keep and maintain my immune system. There are so many things in the air that we've just don't even know about. They've not been given a name. Most of the names of what we know about is because of the medications that are being shared and used to address them. But it's what about those that don't have a name? Our body still has to do what needs to be done in order to support and being able to handle those things.
Yeah. To your point, you think about what life was like 100 years ago, 125 years ago, and then some. The air was purer. There wasn't a lot of pollution. There wasn't pesticides. Like you just said, the stuff that's floating around, we don't even know. We haven't even identified half of it.
That's it.
So I really believe we need to be more proactive in what our diets and the supplementation of them.
Absolutely. So when I do a body talk session on someone and it comes up that they need herbs, I'm able to direct them as to where they can go to get the formulas, because it's not just picking one this, picking one that. It's really being able to rely on someone that can give the support that they need. And if a person is already taking herbs, but they're unsure as to whether the amount that they're taking is appropriate, because a lot of times what we do is we look on the back of the label and say, oh, so it says take 2, take 4. With Body Talk, I'm able to ask the body, is 2 enough? Is 1 enough? Should the person take 4? And that helps to really focus it for that person directly. And I'm grateful for that.
Any other examples of people taking herbals and having a positive outcome? Like I shared, my stomach situation, taking catnip and cat claw and marshmallow root, whatever that stuff is. I don't really care what it is. It just worked. Any other, whether it's clients, friends, anything you can share?
Yes, seasonally, there are times when people have problems with respiratory, where they have a dry cough. And so I have a formula that I will suggest. Now, I don't know the measurements. I can tell you the components, but at least this is a formula that was shared with me by one of my herbal colleagues, and this is for dry cough. The herbs are the mullein flower and marshmallow, those being the key herbs, meaning that they comprise most of the formula. And then elderberry and licorice helps to support those 2 things. And then peppermint helps to balance and serve as a catalyst so that the formula can really go through and be effective within that person's body.
I feel we need to mention one other thing here. If you are going down the herbal road, which I feel you should, it's fantastic, make sure what you're taking is certified organic.
Ooh. You know what? See, Steve, you are on point.
It's just so important. Why do it unless you're going to, make sure what you're taking is pure. I try to get some organics in the grocery store. The one I go to doesn't have a huge section. Yes, it costs more. But you know what?
But you're worth it. You're worth it. Your life is worth it. And if it means paying more, hey.
But guess what? It lasts longer and tastes better. Not even kidding. I don't know how, but it does. But it does. So just make that it's certified.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm so grateful that you brought that up, because the herbalists that I refer my clients to really focus and make sure that the herbs that they are putting together, whether they're in a powdered form or tea form or a liquid form, comes from an organic source, meaning that no pesticides, no herbicides, none of those chemicals that would really cancel out or mask the real effects of that formula.
Gotcha.
So I'm glad you brought that up.
Well, I'm glad you're here, shedding light on something that has been around for a long time, but I don't know what happened to plant medicine, herbal medicine. I guess it's modern day medicine came in and overtook it. And then I'm going to say it, big pharma came along and there's big money in it. So maybe that pushed it out of the way. I don't know what it is, but I found what I'm loving what I got, what I'm taking.
Understand that what happens here in the United States does not mean that it happens around the world.
Point.
There are other countries and other cultures that give more emphasis on plants and herbs and things. And in this country, it's business.
Yeah.
It's business.
It's sad but true. And even if you look at the formulation of fast food French fries, here in the United States, 17 different ingredients. You go to the UK, 3. Why do we allow that? But that's for another podcast. Dr. Jackie, best way to find you if somebody wants to talk about an appointment, consultation on everything that you offer. How do we find you?
Oh, wow. This has been fantabulous. My website is earthlyessence.life, L-I-F-E, earthlyessence.life.
Isn't it interesting what we're talking about today? And it is the earthly essence that can support us and make us feel good without taking chemicals. Thank you so much for today. Truly appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. Look forward to the next time, sharing much love, gratitude, and joy.
Likewise. I appreciate
All
you.
right.
All right. We'll be right back. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.